I cut off 8 inches of my hair at 63 and cried in the parking lot before I even got home. Not because the cut was bad, because I didn't recognize the woman in the mirror, and not in a good way. A pixie can be the most youthful facelifting thing you ever do to yourself after 60, or it can age you 10 years overnight, and the line between those two outcomes is thinner than most stylists will admit. Today I'm walking you through the 7 mistakes I see over and over with pixie cuts on women over 60. The ones that turn a bold, beautiful choice into a regret you're growing out for 8 months. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50 so you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The length everyone gets wrong first. Here's what nobody tells you before your first big chop. The exact same pixie length that looks stunning on one 65-year-old will make another look washed out and severe. And it has almost nothing to do with your face shape. It has to do with your skin's undertone and how much contrast is happening between your hair and your skin as you age. When we're younger, our skin holds more pigment, more warmth, more natural contrast against dark or even medium hair. After 60, most women's skin softens and lightens in tone, and a pixie cut that's razored too short at the sides removes the one thing that was framing that softer skin and giving it shape. So you end up with a face that reads as tired, even when you're not tired at all. I made this exact mistake the first time I went short. I let my stylist take the sides down to almost nothing because I thought shorter meant more youthful. It didn't. It just meant less frame. And that recognition moment, catching your own reflection and thinking, why do I look older, not younger, after paying good money for a fresh cut, is one of the most common things women tell me happens the week after their first pixie. The fix is something stylists call length with lift, and it's simpler than it sounds. Instead of taking the sides down to skin close, you keep about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of length at the temples and above the ears, and you let the crown carry the height instead of the sides carrying the shortness. This does 2 things at once. First, it keeps a soft line running along your hairline that catches light and softens the transition between hair and skin, instead of that harsh, stark line a buzzed pixie creates. Second, it gives your stylist something to work with when they're shaping around your face. A little length at the sides means they can angle it to minimize a longer nose, soften a strong jaw, or balance a higher forehead, none of which is possible once that hair is gone. When you ask for this at the salon, the phrase to use is "leave weight at the temples." That one sentence changes the whole conversation with your stylist and stops them from defaulting to the shortest, most dramatic version of the cut. The result is a pixie that still reads as bold and current, but one that's working with your face instead of stripping away the very thing that was flattering it. Women tell me this single adjustment is the difference between people asking, "Did you get a haircut?" in a slightly concerned tone, and people asking where you got it done because they want the same thing. There's also a timing element to this that almost nobody mentions. The leave weight at the temples instruction matters most in the first 6 weeks after a fresh cut, because that's when the length is at its shortest and least forgiving. By week 7 or 8, natural growth starts softening the line on its own, but those first 6 weeks are when most women panic and think the whole cut was a mistake, when really it just needed that extra 1/2 inch of length built in from the start. Knowing that timeline alone can save you from an emotional decision to grow the whole thing out in a panic 3 weeks post-cut. Before, sides cropped to almost skin close, harsh stark line at the hairline, face reading as severe and tired. After, 1/2 inch of length left at the temples, soft framing line, face reading as lifted and current. That length mistake is the one everyone obsesses over before their appointment. But there's a second mistake that happens after the appointment, at home, with a blow dryer, and it undoes everything the first fix accomplishes. Part 2. The styling habit that flattens everything, plus the color trap that ages you alongside it. Nobody warns you about this one because it happens at home, not in the salon chair, which means your stylist never even sees the mistake being made. It's how you dry your pixie the morning after you leave the salon. And almost every woman over 60 does it the same wrong way without realizing it. You towel dry, you run your fingers through it a couple times, and you let it air dry flat against your head because that feels neat and controlled. Here's the surprising part. A pixie cut relies almost entirely on root lift to look intentional rather than accidental. And letting it air dry flat kills that lift within the first 10 minutes. every single time, no matter how good the cut itself was. Once the hair dries flat, no amount of finger fluffing later in the day brings that volume back. You're stuck with it until your next wash. That's the quiet reason so many women feel like their Pixie looked amazing at the salon and terrible by Tuesday. The cut didn't change, the drying habit sabotaged it every morning after. The fix is a technique stylists call diffuse and lift, and it takes maybe 90 extra seconds in your morning routine. While your hair is still about 80% dry, you tip your head slightly forward, and instead of laying the dryer flat against the hair, you direct warm air up and into the roots at the crown, letting your fingers lift small sections as the air hits them. The goal isn't heat, it's direction. You're teaching the roots to stand up and away from the scalp instead of collapsing down against it. A small amount of a lightweight volumizing mousse, about the size of a walnut, work through damp roots before you start drying makes an enormous difference here, because it gives the hair something to hold onto once it's lifted. The result shows up almost instantly. Your face looks more awake, your eyes look more open, and that soft, expensive-looking texture you saw in the salon mirror is the same texture you see in your own bathroom mirror 3 days later, not just on cut day. This single habit change is the reason some women's Pixies look salon fresh every day and others only look that way once a month. The second mistake in this part happens at the same appointment as the cut, and it's about color, not shape. When women go shorter, a lot of stylists automatically suggest going darker too, because they think dark hair reads as more dramatic against a short cut. After 60, that combination, very short plus very dark, can actually work against you, because dark, flat color against short hair removes dimension. And without dimension, a Pixie can look almost helmet-like instead of soft and textured. It also throws every bit of contrast onto your face, which means any redness, any shadow under the eyes, any unevenness in your skin tone gets highlighted instead of softened. I've watched women walk out of salons with a gorgeous cut and flat, too dark color, and 6 weeks later they're asking their stylist to lighten it, because they can't figure out why they suddenly look so tired in every photo. The fix is asking for what colorists call lowlights and face-framing lights, instead of a flat single process color. This means keeping your base color close to what you'd naturally choose, but weaving in a few subtly lighter pieces right around the face, at the temples and the fringe area specifically, where they'll catch light and soften your features. It's a small request, usually only 10 or 15 extra minutes at the color bowl, but it changes the entire read of a short cut, because now there's movement and depth even though the length is minimal. Say the words just face framing dimension, not an overall lighter color, to your colorist, and you'll get a result that looks sun-kissed and alive rather than flat and staged. Before, flat, single-tone dark color with no dimension, all contrast landing on the face. After, subtle face-framing lightness woven through the fringe and temples, softness and movement instead of a flat helmet effect. Getting the styling and the color right solves how the cut looks day to day. But there's a mistake that happens even earlier than that, back at the very first consultation. And it's about who's actually doing the cutting. Part 3. The consultation question almost nobody asks. I want to tell you something a little embarrassing. For years I let whoever had the next available appointment cut my hair, Pixie or not, because I figured a haircut is a haircut. It is not, and this mistake costs women more regret than almost anything else on this list, because it happens before a single strand is even cut. A Pixie cut on a woman over 60 is one of the most technical cuts in the entire salon, because it requires the stylist to work with less hair, less room for error, and a face that's changed shape and structure over decades. And not every stylist who's excellent at long layers or a bob is equally skilled at this. When you sit down and simply say, "I want a Pixie," without asking a single follow-up question, you're handing over total control to someone whose default Pixie may have been trained on 25-year-old models with completely different bone structure than yours. The fix is one specific question you ask before the cape even goes on. Can you show me Pixie cuts you've done on women in their 60s or 70s? Most stylists keep a phone full of their work, and this question does two things immediately. First, it tells you within 30 seconds whether this person actually has experience cutting mature hair texture, mature face shapes, and mature scalp patterns, or whether their portfolio is entirely 20 and 30-somethings. Second, and this is the part that surprises people, it changes how the stylist approaches your cut, because now they know you're paying attention and expecting a considered, personalized result rather than whatever template they usually reach for. I've had stylists visibly shift their approach the moment I asked this. Suddenly they're asking about my hair's natural texture, how it grows at the crown, whether I sleep on my side, questions a rushed consultation never gets to. That shift from a generic cut to a considered one is often the entire difference between a pixie that flatters you and one that just technically exists on your head. There's a second layer to this question worth knowing. Ask specifically about their experience with your hair type, not just your age. Fine thinning hair behaves completely differently under pixie shears than thick or coarse hair does. And a stylist who's mostly cut thick hair short may overthin fine hair without meaning to, leaving you with wispy, see-through patches at the crown that no amount of product can fix until it grows back. If you have fine or thinning hair, which a large number of women over 60 do because of natural hormonal changes, say that out loud before the consultation even starts. My hair is fine and it's thinned a bit. Please don't overthin it with the shears. That one sentence prevents one of the single most common and hardest to fix pixie mistakes I hear about. A good stylist will nod and immediately adjust their technique, often choosing point cutting over heavy thinning shears specifically because of what you just told them. The result of getting the consultation right shows up in a way you won't fully appreciate until you compare it to a bad one. Your cut grows out evenly, in a shape, instead of turning into a shapeless mess by week 4. A stylist who understood your face, your texture, and your goals from the start builds a cut with enough structure that even as it grows, it still looks like a style and not an accident. That's the quiet long-term payoff of asking one uncomfortable question before you sit down. You're not just getting a better cut today, you're getting a cut that photographs well and holds its shape for the next 2 months. Before, a generic, template pixie cut chosen without any conversation about her specific hair type or face. After, a personalized cut built around her actual texture and bone structure, holding its shape and flattering her for months, not weeks. Getting the right stylist and the right conversation solves the foundation, but there's still one more mistake waiting. And it's the one almost every woman makes the very first time she sits back down 8 weeks later for a trim. Part 4. The maintenance window nobody explains, and the product mistake that undoes a great cut. Here's a fact that surprised me even after years of covering hair. A pixie cut has a maintenance window of 4 to 6 weeks, and going even 2 weeks past that window doesn't just mean a little shaggy. It means the entire shape of the cut collapses, because pixies are built on precise proportion between the sides, the back, and the crown, and once the sides grow out faster than the top, that proportion is gone. Most women don't know this going in. They book their next appointment the way they always did with longer hair, at the 8 or 10 week mark, and then wonder why their low-maintenance, short cut suddenly looks overgrown and messy well before that appointment ever arrives. The fix is treating your pixie maintenance schedule the way you treat a standing appointment you never skip, booking your next trim before you even leave the salon on cut day, set for exactly 5 weeks out. Ask your stylist specifically for a shape trim, not a full recut. This usually only takes 15 to 20 minutes and just cleans up the sides and neckline to restore that original proportion, without taking length off the top that you've been growing for texture. This small, regular habit is the actual secret behind women whose pixies always look effortlessly polished. It's not that their hair grows slower than yours, it's that they never let it drift past that 4 to 6 week structural window. Once you're on this rhythm, something interesting happens. Each trim gets faster and cheaper than a full cut, because you're maintaining shape instead of rebuilding it from scratch every time. The second mistake in this part is one I see constantly, and it's about product, not cutting. Women who've had longer hair their whole lives are used to reaching for heavy creams, serums, and smoothing products, because that's what tames longer hair and controls frizz. Those same heavy products are the wrong choice entirely for a short pixie, because instead of controlling the hair, they weigh it down flat against the scalp, killing the texture and lift that make a pixie look intentional rather than accidental. The exact same collapse we talked about with air drying, except this time it's happening because of product choice instead of technique. I've seen women use a rich, thick styling cream meant for long, coarse hair on a delicate pixie, and end up with hair that looks almost wet and greasy by midday, even though they used less than a dime-sized amount. The fix is switching to lightweight, texture-based products specifically formulated for short hair. things labeled as texturizing paste, dry wax, or volumizing spray, rather than cream or serum. These products are designed to add grip and separation between small sections of hair rather than smoothing everything down into one flat surface, which is exactly what a pixie needs to look styled rather than press flat. A pea-sized amount, worked between your fingertips first, and then lightly pressed into just the top and crown sections, gives you definition without any heaviness at all. The difference is immediate and dramatic. The same cut, the same length, suddenly reads as deliberate and textured instead of flat and accidental, purely because of what you're putting into it each morning. Women who make this single product switch often tell me it feels like getting a slightly better haircut for free, because so much of how a pixie reads comes down to texture. And texture comes almost entirely from product choice, not from the scissors. Before, overgrown sides collapsing the cut's proportion. Heavy cream product flattening texture at the crown. After, a 5-week trim rhythm holding the shape, lightweight texturizing paste giving definition, and lift instead of flatness. We've covered length, color, styling, the right stylist, and maintenance. But there's one final mistake that has nothing to do with the hair itself. And it's the one that quietly convinces the most women to grow their pixie out within the first 3 months, even when the cut is objectively working. Part 5. The adjustment period nobody prepares you for. I want to be honest with you about something most beauty content skips entirely. Even a technically perfect pixie cut, done by a great stylist, styled correctly, maintained on schedule, can still feel wrong for the first 2 to 3 weeks. And that feeling convinces a shocking number of women to grow it back out before they've given it a real chance. This isn't about the haircut being bad. It's about your brain needing time to catch up to a completely new reflection. And almost nobody warns you that this adjustment period is normal, expected, and temporary. When you've had some version of longer hair for 30 or 40 years, your brain has a fixed idea of what you looks like in the mirror. And a dramatic pixie genuinely disrupts that internal picture for a little while, even when everyone around you is complimenting it. The fix isn't a product or a technique this time, it's a mindset shift paired with one practical tool. Give yourself a firm 3-week rule before making any final judgment. And during those 3 weeks, take a photo every few days from the same angle in the same lighting. This matters because in-the-moment mirror judgment is unreliable. Especially with something as visually dramatic as a pixie. You're staring at the parts that feel unfamiliar instead of seeing the whole picture the way other people see it. Photos let you see progress and adjustment objectively, and most women who do this tell me the exact same thing. By photo 4 or 5, they can't even remember what felt so jarring in week 1. Pair that with asking 2 or 3 people you trust, not strangers or comment sections, for one honest reaction sometime in week 2. And you'll usually get the outside perspective that confirms what the mirror alone can't show you yet. There's a specific reason the 3-week mark works as the checkpoint rather than 1 week or even 2. By week 3, your hair has had its first proper wash and style cycle at home without the salon's help. Any initial unevenness from the cut settling has smoothed out, and you've had enough repeated exposure to your new reflection that the shock factor has genuinely faded on a neurological level, not just a getting used to it level. Women who push through to that 3-week mark almost universally report the same shift. The moment where they catch their reflection in a shop window unexpectedly and think, "Oh, I actually love this," rather than bracing for disappointment every time they pass a mirror. That unplanned, unguarded moment of recognition is the real payoff of everything else on this list. The right length, the right color, the right styling, the right stylist, the right maintenance. All of it building toward a moment where you stop analyzing your hair and simply feel like yourself again, just a more lifted, more current version of yourself. I think this is the mistake that matters most, honestly, because every other fix on this list can be executed perfectly and still get undone by a woman who panics in week 1 and books an emergency appointment to grow it all back out. Give the process the same 3 weeks you'd give anything else worth doing well. And let the photos, not the mirror alone, tell you the truth. Before, judging the cut in real time during week 1, based on unfamiliarity rather than the actual result, and considering growing it out. After, a documented 3-week adjustment period, an honest outside check-in, and a genuine, unguarded moment of loving the reflection looking back. That's all 7 mistakes, and if you caught yourself nodding at even 2 or 3 of these, You're already ahead of most women walking into their first Pixie consultation. You now know more about Pixie cuts after 60 than most women who've had one for years. The length that actually flatters, the color that adds dimension instead of flattening you, the exact question to ask before you sit in the chair, the maintenance rhythm that keeps the shape alive, and the 3-week rule that stops panic from undoing a genuinely great decision. That's not small knowledge. That's the difference between a haircut you regret and one you can't stop touching in the mirror. Tell me in the comments, which of these 7 mistakes have you made, or which one are you most nervous about before your own first Pixie appointment? Next week I'm covering the exact words to say to your colorist to avoid the gray grow out mistakes that age women over 60 the fastest. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.